Gospodin Stjepo Bartolica, ja ću vas lijepo moliti da nam iznesete vaše iskustvo, vaše poglede na šokove koje useljenici, povratnici doživljavaju. Zapravo nisu to šokovi, to su izazovi, da tako kažemo. To su razlike, pošto smo mi tako jedna mlada zemlja koja se još uvijek razvija, koja još uvijek treba puno vremena da to nekako sve profunkcionira onako kako treba. Ja ću vas lijepo moliti vaše gledanje na...
Hvala. I'll switch to English. I've given a great deal of thought about what I want to say in a brief period of time after Dan's kind invitation. And I thought it's best to, from my perspective, give you the naked truth, the reality that I see in Croatia, especially under the surface, things that aren't so easy to recognize and detect. It takes time. I've been here since '92, so I think I can speak from this experience. It's undeniable that the country has great charm and beauty. People can't help but fall in love with this country. It's remarkably beautiful from what God has given Croatia geographically. Hopefully we can preserve this and use this, but this is the first impression. That's the easy part. I don't think it's a tough sell to sell Croatia, really. So branding and all this talk, it's really quite a simple thing if you put people together who know a little bit about the outside world. It's not a difficult product to sell, but it's a different story if you actually want to make a life for yourself here. It's a very pleasant place for young students, single people, perhaps retired people as well. But if you're starting a family, wanting to make a living, you want to do something with your life, there's lots of unseen obstacles that I think we have to take into account. Any of you who are entrepreneurs and thinking about starting a business, you need to have a good idea of what the market is, and that's what is the reality under the surface. And the reality is that for various reasons, historical, the war, of course, but also I'll get to the legacy of communism, we're dealing with a troubled and traumatized society. I've seen this. I've had hundreds of conversations. When I came in 1992, what inspired me to stay initially were these stories of young people my age. I was 22 when I came. Young people from Eastern Slavonia, people who were living in Vukovar and places like Vinkovci, who because of the war had to do something, and most of them luckily had the courage and the character to actually defend the country. So, we have to be realistic. There's been a great sacrifice paid for all of us that we can, meet together today and split in this beautiful hall and discuss this. But, people have paid a dear price. And while the war was going on, there was other things happening in the 90s. Communism had collapsed, and these intellectuals around the world had not written textbooks about what to do after communism collapses and these societies go back to a free market system, because no one imagined that would happen. But that's, reality. That's what happened in these countries. And there was no playbook to, follow. Every country had to find its own way. And I will say, my time in politics, I'm not a politician, and I'm happy that, I can say that, but I have, had experience with Croatian politics at the highest level. And the things, I learned and heard from people, one former Udbash, a person who I can call actually a colleague and someone I, in a way, admire, because he's very honest about his own past and so on. He said, Stjepo, you and the returnees and the veterans, vi ste dobili domovinu, vi ste dobili domovinu. Mi smo dobili imovinu, mi smo dobili imovinu. And that's a fact. We have to realize that, many historical changes happened in the 90s, and this transfer of property from the former, socialized system, state-owned assets, moved in a very untransparent, closed way to private ownership. And it shows a lot about the fallacy of Marx's philosophy. He thought that communism could create a new kind of unselfish man, someone not interested in property, a person not tempted by greed and acquiring assets. But in fact, once communism collapsed, the communists themselves showed their true nature, and they were very interested in property, very interested. They didn't act like they were, beyond that, and they weren't, they knew that that was immoral and Western exploitation. They took advantage of the system in these, closed internal deals. Many of the banks at the time, which were controlled by the government, lent money to people who didn't have their own capital to buy assets that many have today. Others sold companies off and made a small fortune, but many of the workers were left behind. So that's the reality. We have a messy recent history, and I would say an elite, a political elite, which has failed the ordinary average Croatian, who had great dreams and imagined the country after the war, especially in 1995, moving quickly and prospering, but that hasn't been the case. We live in a beautiful country that's losing its population. In the United States, regardless what you think of President Trump, his main preoccupation is how to keep people outside of America, or at least controlling the inflow. Mr. Plenković's main problem is how to keep people here, how to keep them from leaving, which is a symptom of failure. We have not succeeded in finding a model, economic model from this transition. Tourism perhaps is an exception because there's very little government interference in this industry compared to the rest of the real economy. So we hear many times in the public discussion from pundits and commentators, most of them former Marxists, who are explaining to the Croatian public that we have this neoliberal economy which is, destroying the fabric of society and causing all this harm. Well, I grew up in the United States, and a free economy basically means, to summarize, easy to hire, easy to fire. That's what a free economy, that's how it works. There's mobility, there's a lively labor market, and people are trying to move up the ladder, and there's freedom. Here, we don't have a system where it's easy to hire, easy to fire. In the public sector, it's almost impossible to fire someone. Literally, people have to be, stealing things from work, and you have to prove this in court to get them fired. It's almost impossible. So despite what we're hearing about a neoliberal, monster, we haven't seen this monster in Croatia. People in Croatia do not know what a free economy is and what it looks like and what the benefits are, unfortunately. What we have is a crony system, We have cronyism. And this goes back again to communism. The Communist Party was the ultimate crony machine. It was a crony machine. And advancement was not based on merit. It was based on playing along with the lies of the regime and being, servile and not raising your head. And that's the way Croatians were raised. To be quiet, to be cautious. You could get in big trouble if you spoke your opinions. And this is a tragedy. It's a tragedy. In order for a person to develop his or her own personality, you need freedom. You need to be able to, without fear, express yourself. That wasn't the case. So, many of the people living here are victims of this. And I'm grateful more and more that, I was able to grow up in a free society. So cronyism, that's really what we're dealing with, and it's a tough disease to cure, to treat. I think the real divide in Croatia is not between the right and the left. You know, today in the news we'll be hearing about people discussing Bleiburg. One side, obviously, it recognizes the tragedy of this event and the trauma and the fact that no one has been tried or held responsible for these acts. And then we'll hear the other side where, you know, the so-called anti-fascists will be in a way even justifying mass murder. But that's really not, if you're interested in business and economics, that's really not the real divide between right and left. That gets a lot of attention. I would say the real divide is between the, you know, the so-called insiders, the people who are part of this network that run the country, and the outsiders. And I think most of us here, and I consider myself still an outsider, especially if you didn't grow up in this society. Most of our parents went by choice into countries with free economies. You know, my parents ended up in Canada, later the United States. These are free economies where advancement and success largely are based on merit. You know, they're not perfect societies, but our parents did not go to countries like North Korea or Cuba or the Soviet Union or today Venezuela. That's not what attracted them. They went to countries where they thought they could succeed. And that's what I want for Croatia. I have not met a single Croatian around the world in any of these countries who's on welfare. Not a single one. We are too proud, too stubborn. We will just not yield to circumstances. And Croatians are not the people receiving welfare in these countries. They've succeeded. I met Croatians with no education living in Germany. They came to Germany in the late 60s with not even an elementary education. And they've succeeded better than your average German. Mm-hmm. That's the reality. But the fact is here in our own country, that is not the broad, you know, there are exceptions, but that is not the kind of country we have. And so what to do about this? So I've described what I think briefly is the situation. I myself, after long reflection about this, decided to try to do something. So I created a small think tank called the Center for Renewal of Culture. It's difficult business renewing culture, but the idea is to educate and form a new generation of Croatians in virtue, in character, not just educating them, but really trying to convince them that it's worth sacrificing and it's possible to endure and persevere and succeed. And the soccer team is a great example. I mean, when you look at Luka Modric and his background, being a member of family expelled from their village, his grandfather was murdered when he was 5. To overcome this and to achieve what he's achieved is a great thing and a blessing for Croatia that we have a role model like this. But the fact is that these soccer players succeeded outside the system. They're the exception, not the rule. They're mostly playing abroad. So the idea of, you know, my center, COK, is to try to make this, you know, more possible for everyday Croatians, so that Luka Modric and these others are not exceptions, but that it's possible to climb the ladder. And it's not an easy thing. You know, we shouldn't underestimate the resistance. When I was working under Prime Minister Orešković, he's a principled man. I think he would endorse what I've said today. He couldn't be here today in Split, but you know, once you try to start making change and you're not in anyone's pocket, there's huge resistance. And so we shouldn't kid ourselves. It will be a battle, but I think it's a battle worth fighting. And you know, meeting here today is obviously a very encouraging thing. And so I look forward to the discussion. That's all for me. Thank you.
Hvala vam. Dakle, timski rad i ljubav prema domovini i sve će ići u pozitivnom smjeru. Zaista lijepo hvala.